What is up? Welcome back into Tide Talk Live. Stacey Blackwood here, riding solo today. Jake is busy, so he couldn't join me, but we're going to bring you a NFL draft recap for the Crimson Tide players that were selected in the 2025 NFL draft the past couple days there in Green Bay, Wisconsin. Before we do that, you know the drill. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe to our channel. We're closing in on 3,000 subscribers, so help us there as soon as possible, and we would greatly appreciate that. Also, we're free and available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and wherever you find your podcasts. So make sure you leave us that 5-star written review there as well. We got a big show today. Going to be talking about the 2025 NFL draft and kind of recap where all the Alabama players were drafted. We'll even talk about the undrafted players who signed contracts. So we'll dive into all that. And then at the end, we'll kind of go ahead and look ahead to the 2026 NFL draft and what that might look like for former Alabama players as well. So excited to dive into the show and look at all that. I hope you will subscribe to the channel. That would be greatly appreciated. So let's just start with Tyler Booker, who was the number 12 overall pick in the draft to the Dallas Cowboys. Really good fit. I really like how Booker fits in with the Dallas Cowboys. They're a big physical offensive line, and that summarizes what Tyler Booker is as well. It's 6'4", 6'5", 330 pounds, just a mauler in the run game, moves people out of the way, really good blocker in the run game, can still improve in pass protection and being able to move around and pull and stuff like that. But overall, really good run blocker, will fit in with the Dallas Cowboys really well. Then Jihaad Campbell, I think, was the best off-ball linebacker in this draft. If it wasn't for some injury concerns and his questioned availability for the start of the 2025 NFL season, I believe he's probably chosen before he went there at number 31 overall in the first round to the Philadelphia Eagles, who just once again draft an Alabama football player. I think that's 8 players on the Eagles roster that are former Crimson Tide players, Jihaad Campbell being the latest. Like I said, I think the best off-ball linebacker in this draft, a guy who's 6'2", 6'3", 230 plus pounds, can move sideline to sideline, does a really good job of reading the play and attacking it with his incredible quickness and speed. And you're looking at a guy who really just started playing the off-ball position a couple years ago. So his upside is tremendous there. I think he's going to fit really well into what the Eagles like to do there defensively. And the defending Super Bowl champs just continue to build on their already elite roster, and Jihaad Campbell is the latest one of those. Then had to wait a while, but it finally happened. Jalen Milroe was selected number 92 overall in the third round to the Seattle Seahawks. I think this about as good a landing spot as you could have hoped for if you're Jalen Milroe and if you're pulling for Jalen Milroe. He gets to sit behind Sam Darnold, who just signed a massive deal with the Seahawks. They have a couple other guys in that quarterback room as well, but they did trade away Sam Howell. So I think it's apparent that they want Milroe to be their backup. They want to develop him. They want to see what the future holds for Jalen Milroe at the next level. A guy who showed promise. I know fans love to talk about the negative when it comes to Milroe, and yes, there was plenty of that, but you have to remember the positive as well. His first year as a starter, Alabama beat Georgia in the SEC championship game. Then he beats Georgia again in the fourth game of the year last year, has big wins over LSU, has a win over Tennessee, beat Auburn in both his starts, delivered some incredible moments for Alabama fans, and I hope that we'll continue to support him. Love the fact that Sean Alexander, my childhood favorite player, was able to announce the pick of Jalen Milroe to the Seahawks. And once again, I just think it's a really good place for Milroe to land and kind of learn and develop and continue to grow as a passer. We know what he is as an athlete, just needs to continue to polish his passing skills and what he does working within the pocket post snap. So really looking forward to seeing Milroe develop there landing spot. Next up is Malachi Moore, who went in the fourth round, number 130 overall to the New York Jets. Look, Malachi Moore is not the biggest. He's not the fastest. He's not the strongest. But the dude just knows how to play winning football. He does a great job of being in position, does a great job of just making the right play. That's why you saw all the turnovers that he was able to force in his career at Alabama. It's because he was in the right place at the right time, because he's a disciplined player who understands the playbook, understands schemes, and does a great job of reading the opposing quarterback. So Moore will do a great job. Has a chance to probably be safety number 3 for the New York Jets, and I think a guy that you're going to see make plays on special teams as well for the foreseeable future there in New York. Next is Q Robinson. And I want to spend a minute on him because I think this is a guy who could be the sleeper defensively in this entire draft, not just from Alabama player perspective, but from the overall draft. I love his upside as a pass rusher. I don't mean just from the edge either, which he's a great edge rusher because of his quickness, his first step, his length, his arms are just incredibly long. He's really quick. He has great burst, great twitch, but you saw it in his time at Alabama. He's also able to line up over that A or B gap and blitz from the middle of the line of scrimmage and create havoc that way. So I really think Q Robinson has a chance to be a special NFL player from a pass rushing standpoint. How well he can hold up against the run, I'm not sure. Is he going to be able to be a 3-down player? Maybe, maybe not. But I know for a fact this dude is going to be able to make plays in a pass rushing situation. So I think Q Robinson is going to do a great job for the Denver Broncos. Once again, a guy who could probably fell a little further than what he maybe would have if the injury didn't occur there in late October for the Crimson Tide last year and for Q Robinson. But I really think this guy's going to do a really good job in the NFL, have a long NFL career ahead of him rushing the passer, which you can make a lot of money doing that in the NFL. Next, Robbie Oots, the tight end who is going to be joining his former quarterback in Seattle, drafted by the Seahawks in the 5th round, number 175 overall. I seen a tweet. Who would have thought that this time last year that Robbie Oots would be drafted before Isaiah Bond? Turns out Isaiah Bond wasn't even drafted. So, or did he get drafted late? Maybe. I digress. Robbie Oots, let's get back to him. Joining Jalen Milroe in Seattle, they listed him as a fullback and when they announced the pick, which I think is perfect. You look at this guy, 6'4", 270, not going to blaze anybody with speed, but has great physical attributes, just really strong at the point of attack, does a really good job of blocking out in space for a bigger guy. And I think with what Seattle has in the backfield with Kenneth Walker and those guys, he's going to play an important role in opening some lanes for the talented running game they have there in Seattle, and will probably be a valuable asset once Jalen Milroe hopefully can take over as the starter there in Seattle. So excited for Robbie Utes to be able to join back with his quarterback from Alabama and Jalen Milroe there in Seattle. Tim Smith was selected number 190 overall by the Indianapolis Colts. This is a guy who, from the moment he arrived in Tuscaloosa as a true freshman in 2020, he started making some plays. But as his career progressed, you kept just wanting a little more. He showed up from time to time, wasn't the most consistent player, was a really good run defender throughout his entire career, but you were always hoping for just a little more from a pass rushing standpoint. And I think he has the ability to be a little bit more productive pass rusher because I think he's quick twitch enough to do so, but just was not able to do that on a consistent level there in Tuscaloosa for Alabama. But I really think Tim Smith, even though he's a later pick, a 6th-round guy, I think he can have a long NFL career because he can be a good rotational piece along the defensive line. He's real sturdy against the run, and every once in a while he can flash the potential to rush the passer. So I think he's going to have a long NFL career, maybe not be just a starter or anything like that, but a good rotational piece along the defensive line for the Colts and maybe beyond in his NFL career. And now the last guy, or the last 3 guys that we're going to talk about, they did not go drafted, but they were picked up as undrafted free agents. We'll start with C.J. Dupree, who was picked up and signed by the New England Patriots. Dupree, who ran one of the fastest times at the NFL Combine from a tight end at 4.69, which is really fast for a guy that's 6'4", 6'5", 260 pounds. So he's more athletic than given credit for. And I will not be shocked if he makes the 53-man roster, for the New England Patriots. I think this is a guy who has a really good career ahead of him. It may take him finding the right team, the right scheme, and the right fit. But I do think CJ Dupree has a future in the NFL. The last two guys are a couple specialists, and specialists are hard. You don't really see those guys drafted too often. But Nealon Hibbett, the long snapper for Alabama, was signed by the Miami Dolphins. This is a great opportunity for Nealon, a guy who, if you don't keep up with Alabama football too closely, you probably never heard of him, which is a good thing if you're a long snapper because that means you're doing your job. So Nealon Hibbett did a great job. I think a 4-year starter for Alabama, if I'm not mistaken, now has his opportunity to hopefully make the team there in Miami with the Dolphins, joining a couple other Alabama guys and Tua Tagovailoa, Jalen Waddle. So hopefully Nealon Hibbett can make an impact there in Miami early on and make that roster and, have a good long career in the NFL as well. Finally, James Burnip, the punter, who is an Australian native, did a really, started out a little rocky in his career at Alabama as a freshman, as you would imagine, kind of adjusted. And his last couple years there in Tuscaloosa did a great job of putting Alabama in good position with his punts, not only with the length of his punts, but the hang time that he was able to get those punts off with. Burnip did a great job his last couple of seasons in Tuscaloosa, and he is now signed as an undrafted free agent with the New Orleans Saints. So getting to stay down here in the Southeast is pretty cool for James Burnip, a guy who, like Nealon Hibbett, if you prove that you can get the job done, you can have a spot here in the NFL, and hopefully he can do that with the New Orleans Saints this offseason. Now, it's never too early, I believe, to talk about the future and to talk about what could potentially happen in next year's draft as it relates to Alabama football. And everybody wants to know, is the streak going to extend? For those who are not aware, Alabama extended their streak to 17 seasons with first-round NFL picks, or first-round picks in the NFL draft. So obviously Nick Saban started this. These are still, Jihaad Campbell and Tyler Booker, Jalen Milroe, Malachi Moore, all these guys were recruited by Nick Saban, so these kind of still fall to him. And we'll start to see if Kalen DeBoer can kind of keep this train rolling and keep that streak alive next year, which I think he will. I still think there's a couple guys that are, I don't want to say locks, nothing's guaranteed, but two guys that I could see with high potential to be first-round picks next year, and that's Caden Proctor and LT Overton. Caden Proctor, he's going to be entering his third season as the starter at left tackle for Alabama. Had his ups and downs as a freshman, was a lot more consistent as a true sophomore last year, even though he was dealing with injuries. And maybe here in 2025, it's going to be the first opportunity where Alabama fans get to see a healthy and an experienced Caden Proctor. And I think when you see that, you're going to see a much improved player and a guy that NFL scouts are going to love because of his massive frame at 6'7", 350 plus pounds, good arm length, good power, good strength, quicker on his feet than what you might imagine for a guy that size, but with a lot of room to grow and mature and develop as well. So really like the opportunity that Caden Proctor has and the potential he has to be a first-round pick in the 2026 NFL draft. LT Overton, to my understanding, would be the next best bet to be a first-round pick in the 2026 NFL draft. An edge defender at 6'5", 280 plus. We saw his ability to rush the passer, which the NFL scouts love. I think he had 39 pressures last year. Now that only come with 2 sacks or 2.5 sacks. That number has to improve. He has to be able to finish. And if LT Overton can prove that he can finish those pressures with more sacks, then you're looking at a lock for the first round, because there's, outside of quarterback, there's nothing else the NFL general managers love than somebody that can get after the opposing quarterback. So LT Overton has a great opportunity to work himself into the first round if he can learn to finish those pressures with more sacks. So those two guys, I think, for sure have the best opportunity to be first round picks, but we can't forget about Deontay Lawson. I think if he's healthy in 2025 and can stay healthy and prove that he can be healthy and play winning football, he has a chance Bray Hubbard, Damani Jackson, those guys, Jaden Roberts. I think those guys are more day two picks, but you never know with a stellar season in 2025 and, how you run at the combine, how you work out. All it takes is one team to fall in love with you, and you can be taken there in the first round. So overall, I think there's a few guys there to look at as the 2025 season gets underway here shortly, and look ahead to the 2026 NFL draft and what Alabama players could potentially be taken in the first round there. So also, I'll throw out Jeremy Bernard. I think he's more of a day two pick, but with all the talent, with Ryan Williams there, with Isaiah Horton there, Jeremy Bernard could be in for a spectacular season because other guys are getting all the attention and maybe he has more opportunities to showcase his talents. So I think, like I said, I think he's more of a day two pick, but I'm not going to sleep on him. Like I said, a team falling in love with him there late in the first round as well. So I think there's talent in Tuscaloosa, and I do think that streak is going to continue to 18 in 2026 as well. But guys, that's going to wrap up our show as we look at the 2025 NFL draft. I know that was a lot of rambling from me. I hope you guys will jump in the comments. Let me know your thoughts on the 2025 NFL draft as it relates to Alabama. What your favorite landing spot was for somebody. If you were surprised by where any of the guys were taken at, were you shocked that Jalen Milroe didn't go in the first or second round? Are you happy with where he went with the Seahawks? What you think about Tyler Booker, Campbell, Moore, all those guys. Would love to hear your thoughts and opinions on where all the former Alabama Crimson Tide players will be heading to the NFL, which team they're going to here in 2025. But that's going to wrap it up, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Like I said, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. We are brought to you by the Believe Network, where we are free and available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and just wherever you find your podcasts. But like, share, and subscribe today. We'll see you soon. Roll Tide.